then I'm gonna pin myself. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. If you can give me a thumbs up when you see it. Let's see. Hold on. Here we go. All right. And y'all, okay, got some thumbs ups. Okay, so y'all, today we're just going to talk about how to be at peace in the holidays. And I promise this is something that for whatever reason I'm kind of passionate about, because I know people kind of freak out about the holidays. And we have this idea that it's like mutually exclusive to be healthy and enjoy the holidays. I think that you can be at peace in the holidays, and you can have a strategy that honors your health and the festivities and family traditions, etc. Well, I say that, like, we do have to do things a little bit differently, because I've seen at least one study that shows that almost 50% of the weight that people put on in a year comes like in the last 4 weeks of the year. So if you don't have a plan, it is possible to really kind of mess things up in the holidays. But if you do, like, I think you're going to be fine. And my hope is that you both have, one of the best holidays you've had in a long time this year. And on January 2nd, you are feeling just as good as you are today. Does that sound good? Would that be exciting if we could do that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'm convinced we can. So I'll just kind of share like some of my strategies, and then I'd love to hear from y'all. So I'm going to start with what we call like the triangle of sustainability, or the three keys to sustainability. And these are not mutually exclusive, but if you're working with me, you've probably seen this before. So these aren't mutually exclusive, but you're really only going to be able to go after two of these really hard at once. And aesthetics is like, losing some of that belly. Aesthetics is not a small thing, it's a really big deal. But then you've got like health, like your blood work, your long-term longevity, and then daily performance. For the sake of like talking about the holidays, hey, daily performance is having a great time with your family and not being super anxious and stressed. That, I think, is really what we're going for. So for the holiday season, I think you really do try to focus on like, how do we not ruin our health? And then how do we like enjoy most of those important days? And I think when you talk to people, that's what we really want. Most people actually don't want to have an aggressive aesthetic goal during the holidays. However, it is possible to diet. And actually, I do have some of my clients who've delayed a diet for a long time for different reasons. And for different reasons, like now really might be a good time for them to diet for their body. You actually can diet during this time if your body's ready, and if you want to. You can diet, but you've got to do some diet breaks. So I'm just looking at the calendar, and I'll actually just give you all a couple of minutes too, if you want. Literally just pull up your calendar and look at some of these dates that are coming up. If you are currently dieting or you're about to start dieting, you've got the next couple of weeks where, depending on your schedule, you can diet safely. What I would do though is like a week before you got any of those big feasts, like Thanksgiving, about a week before, I'd go ahead and go up to a diet break. So you're increasing your calories, you kind of put the weight loss goal to the side for a couple of weeks. And most of the time, if you do that and kind of get back into tracking your food at a maintenance level, you're going to be okay. You're not really going to gain much weight, even if you just kind of go crazy obviously, you go crazy at the feast, you'll have some consequences, but it's going to really blunt that effect, and you'll be fine to get back into your diet after you do that. So, I definitely wouldn't diet between like November 22nd and December 1st. Pretty much the whole week of Thanksgiving and a little bit following that, just go ahead, stop dieting. And then the first couple of weeks of December, depending on your traveling, you could probably diet for a couple weeks there too. But then obviously, about the whole week before Christmas in through New Year's, just set the diet aside there as well and go to a diet. I think there's a couple of people currently dieting. Does that schedule make sense? Do you have any questions kind of like on that calendar? Make sense? Yeah. Okay, and so most of you should know like what your diet calories are and what your maintenance calories are. You're not going to track your food on Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you're not going to track the food the day after Thanksgiving if you eat all the leftovers. So just you're going to be fine. If you go back up to maintenance and then you just don't track those days and you eat, kind of as much as you want, you're a little bit full, you do the feast thing, you're going to be pretty much okay. Okay, so that's if you're dieting, but that's probably an exception. For most people, we can kind of leave the aesthetic goal for the side for a month or so, kind of most people are hold until about, January 3rd. Peace of mind should be the goal. It's just supposed to say the goal, but it could be the goal as well. So let's focus on daily performance and enjoying this awesome time of the year. And I think we can easily strike a balance between getting max enjoyment out of this time and minimizing like a big catastrophic health backslide. So part of this is just like keep your head like we're not gonna set you up for a big health backslide. And here's the reality. Y'all don't go and tell your primary care doctor that you have a health coach that's telling you can do whatever you want for the holidays. But there really is only so much damage you could do in a couple of days. So again, don't say, yeah, I work with a health coach. He said I can do whatever. But if as long as you really kind of stick with like the feast days, you cannot store 4 or 5 pounds of fat in a couple of days. All right, so here would be my number one rule for the holidays. Focus on adding rather than subtracting. So to make it through the holidays, adding in looks like, hey, keep up your exercise, okay? Instead of just doing intense portion control, like on a feast day, like I'm gonna skip the mashed potatoes and I'll skip the pumpkin pie. Actually, just instead of focusing on that, focus on what you can add to your life or maintain. So keep up your exercise. Here's an idea. Instead of saying, I'm not gonna eat any dessert, how about you just like eat your protein first at the meal, at the feast, and then you're naturally going to decrease the amount of dessert you're going to eat. But if you just kind of go through and say, oh, I'm not going to eat dessert, and you kind of nibble through the feast, and then all that's left once they put all the leftovers is the dessert they're sitting out, you're going to eat a ton of dessert. So, fill up your plate with the turkey, eat the turkey first, and then kind of, keep eating after that with whatever you want. Budgeting in the desserts or budgeting in the protein. So again, you're adding in some good things to your diet.
But I don't like turkey.
You don't like turkey?
Oh, you have a hard time getting protein, don't you?
Yeah.
Eat chicken.
Yeah.
I'm going to my sister's house. Hopefully she'll cook. I told her last year I didn't like turkey, so hopefully she'll cook something else besides just turkey.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you got some ham, honey gold ham.
That's true.
Chicken, yeah. And
Just a
again,
little confession, I never had turkey growing up. So I didn't have a turkey dinner until till my father remarried my stepmother. We never had turkey for Thanksgiving.
Jana, I think you're not a natural born U.S. citizen.
I'm also not from the South because I don't eat corn, tomatoes, or drink sweet tea.
Okay, and all of those are probably going to be on our Thanksgiving tables. So again, instead of just no, add in some of that good stuff. Obviously, start with that. And then, they say eat your dessert last. There's some wisdom. Prioritize the protein, and you'll be fine with it. If you don't like turkey, Costco's got rotisserie chickens for $5. Thanksgiving feast. Adding in looks like, hey, going on a diet break, rather than subtracting looks like, ooh, I'm going to diet through the holidays. No, you're not. It's okay. Set that. Here's a really, really big one. Adding in looks like, hey, keep tracking your steps. If you really look at it, if you don't pay attention, you're going to go on the holidays and you're going to have your steps. You're going to go from 7,000, 8,000 steps in a day to 2,000, 3,000 steps. So keep up with those steps. So have the big Thanksgiving feast and maybe go for a walk after and then do your nap. So that's my biggest rule is focus on adding rather than subtracting. I'll give some more reasons for why you do that too. Hey, I'm actually going to say don't hold back on those big feasts. Obviously don't go crazy, right? right? But the feast isn't really what gets you because there's only so much you can eat in one meal. You know, say you eat, you know, 1,800 calories in one meal, like that's a lot, right? But what really gets you is the in between. So you can overeat a meal by 500 calories, but you can overeat by, you know, 700 calories every day just by like snacking in between. So the leftovers are out, so you're constantly kind of eating those. You're eating all day, and then the desserts are laid out, and you're kind of snacking in between those. The in between meals, like the random eating, it's when it's not mindful, that's where you really get in trouble. Does that kind of resonate? The lack of mindful eating there.
Absolutely.
And that's the big problem. Is it's like, oh, what do we do? You know, the whole family's together. Well, let's pull out the pies again. You know, and that is definitely something that I would try to keep on your radar. Okay, a couple of tips. So for example, my family, like on Christmas morning, we like do this weird kind of sausage casserole with like some bread and stuff, and it's fine, it's good. But you know, probably someone in your family or you is going to cook like a breakfast that y'all can kind of eat on a couple of days in a row. You know, maybe, you know, don't tell your family, you don't even have to say it, but you know, make like a higher protein breakfast and then prep or buy some higher protein snacks. So instead of just randomly snacking unmindfully on all the desserts that you have left over, hey, just get back to some of the basics. You know, add in a protein snack, add in a snack that's high in protein, you know, once or twice a day. It's going to keep you from eating a big sugar bomb, and it's also going to keep making sure that you're eating enough protein to feed your body. Here's one more. Put the desserts away. They're always laying out on the table, right? Is that just my family? Can't be. Whose family just lays out the sweets just right in the kitchen in front of you the whole week?
We usually just have a dessert table that everybody has to walk by
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah. So I don't have much of a sweet tooth, truthfully, but I eat a lot of sweets over the holidays because they're just laying out. So to the extent that you can control that, you know, put those desserts away or tell a family member, hey, you know, don't let me eat any of the sweets today, unless it's at a mealtime. You know, even say, hey, I'll eat some sweets, but let me just go ahead and eat it after my dinner. Because again, like if you go on an empty belly up to a bunch of those desserts, you'll way overeat on dessert. But if you go with a full belly, you'll have a much more moderate, just like reasonable portion. So I said this earlier, you know, load up your feast plate with the protein, eat that, and then eat the dessert you want. You're gonna do less. Alcohol, I really am increasingly just telling people, look, just remove the sugary alcohol drinks and high calorie beers. There are too many good skinny margarita options out there, and there are too many good light beers to like really blow out the budget on like one sugary drink. I mean, guys, it's amazing how much sugar they can cram in one of those drinks. And when you combine sugar and alcohol, it really is like a really dangerous cocktail.
Well, and it doesn't have to be in your coffee. It can be your coffee as well. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in some of those coffee drinks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like as a kid, I didn't really like coffee, but those Starbucks little bottle, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're like they've got like the milk in the coffee. You'll know what I'm talking about.
She knows.
Yes. I was like, man, these are so good as a kid. I was like, I don't like coffee, but these are delicious. Well, they got 42 grams of sugar in it. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So again, like, you know, as much as you can separate the sugar from the alcohol, and then a sugary drink really is like I think alcohol can play a role in a healthy diet. I think it could be good for the soul. I think especially when you got family around and you're celebrating, you know, great. But really, that you almost every time you can find some non-sugary options.
What about like Splenda or something like that in your coffee?
Okay.
I'm not a stevia person.
Let me ask you a question. Let's think through this. So I really do. Let's talk about adding in rather than subtracting. So again, like I don't want you to just say, number one rule, let's focus on addition before we do subtraction. Do you do Splenda regularly now?
At times and at times not.
Yeah. So during the holidays, you're going to be able to get that sweet tooth in. You're going to be able to kind of indulge on some treats. You're not like hooked on Splenda. So the holidays will probably be a good time. You know that for lack of a better word, some crap's going to get into your diet, right?
Right. So
Maybe
you can get hooked on Splenda.
you can, but I mean, you can get hooked on anything, Kathy. Just so I would just say, look, for lack of a better word, a lot of crap's going to make it in your diet in the next couple of weeks. I would just be really mindful and think about like, is Splenda something that you want to like budget in, or would you rather just like keep that out because you're going to have a dessert a couple of times? So that's just a question for you. Like, make the treats that you're adding in, make them special. Don't Splenda might just be like a poor way to budget in your treats, but it also may be what you love. So
Okay, thanks.
yeah. Okay, so here's number one rule: focus on adding rather than subtracting. Why is that? Like, there shouldn't be a guilt to enjoying a family feast for the holiday. So you should be able to, if you've got the subtracting mindset, I need to go into the holidays and I need to stay away from X, Y. You're going to have like a really tough holiday and you're not going to be at peace. You shouldn't feel guilty for feasting, but feast to maximum enjoyment. And then, so like feast at the feast time and then don't just feast all the whole next day, like do have that kind of mindfulness. But when you actually are successfully adding some things in, you say, yeah, I ate more this week. Of course I ate more this week, but I'm going to keep up a little bit of movement. I'm going to keep track of my steps. When your first impulse is to add rather than subtract, what that allows you to do is be grateful rather than feel like you have to be like have an austere mindset. So instead of saying no, like dessert's evil, it's really, really going to mess me up. It's, hey, walking is great and I get to do it with my family that I don't get to see regularly. Does that kind of make sense? Like the gratitude aspect?
One thing my family does do is we do all try to walk. My sister lives out in Farragut. We can walk to that park by the library.
Mm-hmm.
That's all decorated up.
Beautiful.
At night. And we'll do that. We'll walk down there at midnight, all of us.
Love it.
So,
hey, if I get stranded in Knoxville for the holidays, can I come join your family, Karen?
you sure can. We always invite people. We always invite people that are stranded away from their families, believe it or not.
Awesome.
I'll take care of Remus.
Bring your wife, bring your wife with you.
Hey, that's what we call the benefits of adding. Yeah, so that's awesome. Like again, like feast with your family and add great things into that just make the time even more special. If you've just got the mindset, I'm going to go into the holidays, I'm not going to have any sweets. This is actually just subjective. This is based on my subjective experience. But in my experience, you're actually less likely to binge on sweets if you have if you don't have that all or nothing mindset, where you say, yeah, like I'll enjoy dessert after Thanksgiving. But if you go and you say, I'm not going to eat anything sweet this whole week, this is totally just subjective. But from what I've seen, when people go in with a mindset that's all or nothing, that's when they kind of fall off the wagon. Does that, I do want to ask y'all, does that resonate with y'all? Is that y'all's experience too? Or am I seeing something weird?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
It's that deprivation mindset,
Yeah.
I agree. There's something to be said for having enjoying yourself, rather than depriving yourself.
Yeah. And if you say, okay, let's take, for example, you ate a ton of food on Thanksgiving. And you had the tryptophan coma, you took a big nap. and you wake up the next day and you say, man, I ate so much yesterday. I'm just like, I'm not gonna eat today, or I'll skip breakfast today to make sure that I don't overeat again today. Well, then you're starving by the afternoon, and it's in between meals, and then you just eat a bunch of sugar, and then you're not hungry for the next dinner or next feast. So anyway, yeah, I think we kind of see the same thing on that. So yeah, so budget in a little bit and stick to it.
That's kind of the epitome of yo-yoing.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's like a micro thing that the yo-yo is like that's a micro example of the larger yo-yo trend. Hey, but new family traditions, like, can you get your family moving, or can you create a new recipe that people love that they ask for again next year? I think that'd be a great goal. Like, I might actually set that goal for my family is, hey, can I make like a healthy breakfast casserole that people are like, my goodness, that was so good. And you know, again,
I
yeah.
did try to do a healthy Thanksgiving before COVID,
Mhm.
and everybody laughed at me and brought what they normally brought.
Yeah, so again, I would say like one recipe. I wouldn't try to make the whole feast, you know, low calorie, for example. But yeah. And actually, I'm really even more talking about like in my mind, I'm thinking about more of the in-between stuff. So like this breakfast casserole is like what we do the day after Thanksgiving and Christmas, when it's like, that's not part of the feast. That's just kind of like the in-between stuff. So that's where I would focus maybe some of those traditions, is like on the in-between times. Yeah, you can't touch the family's Thanksgiving staples.
Yeah, I tried.
Okay, so here's the thing. This does still take discipline, because adding in, there still is a little bit that you need to do. But I think the biggest thing that this saves you is that mental constant chirp in the back of your head. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm blowing it. No, like peace of mind is the goal here. And if you can stick to just a couple simple commitments and then enjoy yourself through the feast and enjoy time with family, you know, that peace of mind is going to be far more valuable than whatever your weight is doing on the scale throughout these next couple of weeks. Okay, so here, let's make it real practical. Feel free to pull out a pen and paper for this. I'll give you all a couple of seconds on that. I really would, there's about 5 things that I really would encourage you to do. So the first thing is, I'll go back up to these dates. Determine like where you are in your phase. Determine like what your goal is. Are you dieting? Are you about to start a diet? Look at the calendar and see how that fits. So you might want to follow and adhere to this schedule that I've proposed. So the first thing I do is just look at your calendar and kind of analyze what days you travel and all that kind of stuff. And then based on that, like, then we set the goal. So say you're not focused on fat loss right now, then a goal is to just kind of maintain your weight within a couple of pounds over the next couple of weeks, and then to maintain your movement. I would set exercise sessions and walks on the calendar. Here's the thing. This definitely is going to be really foreign to some of you, but even if it's something that you've never done before, I've found clients be really successful with it. If you're having guests coming in from out of town, can you get a guest pass at a gym near your house? Or if you're leaving town, are you a member at the YMCA? Is there a YMCA near where you're staying? Can you buy a 1-week guest pass for where you're going so that you can go to the gym, you know, 2-3 times? Usually you can get, like, if you just ask them, tell them you're in for the holidays, for like less than $50, you can probably get 3 workouts in, something like that. So I've told people this before and they're like, I've never thought about looking into a gym when I go on vacation. But then they're like, oh, like, I found one 3 minutes away from where I'm staying, and I actually think that would be nice. Again, it's adding in something, but it's giving me kind of a sense of control. It's giving me some peace of mind, so I'm still taking care of myself. Now, for some people, it probably isn't going to be realistic, but I think for more people than you think, it is going to be realistic. Is this something y'all have ever done before? Like, have you ever gone to the beach and looked for a gym close to where you're staying?
No.
Has anyone ever done that?
No.
No.
Okay.
It's something that I've started doing, and I've definitely had more clients do recently. And I think that nice, Samantha, you worked out in Vegas. That's awesome. A lot of times there's like really cool, fun gyms that you can find, or like an outdoor workout, all that kind of stuff. So just again, look at where you're going to stay, or look who's coming in, and then take a family member to the gym that you go to. I would go ahead and determine your drinks of choice. Can you decrease the sugar in the family's? What is it? What's the Christmas milk?
Eggnog.
Eggnog. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Sugar in the eggnog, or can you be the one that brings it? If your family's beer drinkers, a Corona Light has less than 100 calories, Michelob Ultra, some lower calorie beers that are low carb as well. Red wine, can you do a dry red wine? All those are pretty good options. Track your steps. I would even just being aware of your steps, kind of like write down your average before the couple weeks before the holidays. And then if you look on the, if you look on your, if you look and see your steps are 4,000 lower than you've typically been doing, hey, let me work to address that. And by the way, guys, a 20-minute walk around the block is a couple thousand steps. So that's really not asking too much for the investment that you're going to get back from it. And then pick some recipes to make for snacks and breakfast to send to family members, and then send those family members for approval. And again, Kathy, I would recommend these not be the centerpiece of the feast. But if you do want to make an option for yourself and maybe for someone else, you could probably make a side dish.
That's when you're at somebody else's house, it's a little bit harder, but she's going to be out of town for 3 weeks before we arrive. She's only going to be home for 2 days before we arrive. So
Wow.
I'm probably going to stop on the way. There's a grocery store a couple hours away from her house. I know, a couple hours.
Oh,
She lives in
wow.
the Keys.
So she's going to be asking for help, though.
Yeah, and she's already asked what I need to stay on my diet. I said basically protein.
Yeah. Yeah. Protein and some vegetables.
And
also
sugars, no sugars.
Yeah. And so Kathy, I might even say, you could probably do a little bit of sugar, you could probably set a little sugar budget for your feast days. And I think you're going to be okay,
Yeah. I mean, I've done a little bit of sugar here and there. But I do watch it. It's really hard. My biggest issue is this is the first year I've really ever gotten to spend any time with my grandsons, and I'm picking them up after school. And we have one day that I go get them ice cream. And so that's my only downfall.
And you do that every week.
Yeah, once a week.
So Kathy, we can definitely budget in.
Oh, I've budgeted in. I've stayed on.
Perfect.
Because I get a small dish.
Yeah. So, and I think you can, you're not going to be tracking your food on the feast day. You can still budget that in.
Right.
Also, I would say, hey, just make some recipes. They can be a little bit healthier, but don't tell anyone they're healthy options. They will just be like, oh, that looks great. They don't have to know that it's healthier. Okay, so here's fun. Oh, and real quick before I move on, I love this, Samantha. Lynn said she worked out when she was on her trip in Vegas, and it's a proud moment for yourself when you make the time to work out on vacation. It's true. You feel really good of yourself, especially if you've never done it before and you accomplish that. You're like, wow, who am I? I don't even notice this strong, fit person who's moving on their vacations. So yeah, don't cheat yourself out of that great feeling. Okay, post-holiday analysis. This is a really important slide. Look, expect to be up a couple of pounds, as many as 2 to 5 pounds, when all is said and done after this vacation. It's primarily going to be due to water weight and electrolyte fluctuations. So expect to be up a couple of pounds. And then once you notice that you're up a couple of pounds, get back into the exact plan that you intended before the holidays happened. So don't try to do the thing where you say, well, I overate last 2 weeks, so I'm going to hardly eat this. That's going to screw yourself up. Just go ahead and get right back into the plan. So y'all know this, 2 weeks ago, we had my brother's bachelor party, and then the whole next week was the wedding week, the rehearsal dinner, the wedding. And I tried to, and I did all right. I also hurt my back, so I didn't work out as much as I wanted to. But I came back up 4 pounds. And I talked to my coach. He said, hey, get back into the plan. It's going to kind of come back to your baseline. And I'm up about a ½ pound still, but pretty much like within 2 to 3 days, I had just dropped down, and then I'm basically back where I was. So don't change things up. Just go back to where you were, and you're going to be fine. I think that's it. Y'all got anything, any questions, anything you want to add, anything else we can help to make this actionable for you? I'll go back to the homework slide.
You said if you do the Splenda to add that in on your how do you add that in on?
Well, Splenda is not really going to have like any,
Right.
Any calories. I think it's 0 calorie.
Right.
So I would just say, like, for you, Kathy, like, so you don't have to track it. You don't have to. It's just you're gonna introduce. You're gonna introduce more like sort of non-perfect options on the holidays. So
Okay.
I would decrease the amount of random introductions. There's already going to be random sugar that gets into your diet. There's probably already going to be more sugar in the alcohol that's being served than you realize. Or there's going to be more, you'll eat a little bit more sweets than you're planning on. So I wouldn't unless the Splenda is really important to you.
No, it's not.
Okay, then I would probably just say, I'm not going to do that this time, but I'll enjoy, more desserts with my grandkids.
Okay.
Y'all think it'd be helpful to write these things down? Anybody got questions about like the calendar or getting a gym out of town? Any drinks of choice that y'all like a recommendation on? Honestly, one of the big issues that people have is actually eating enough when you travel.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. Because literally people think you're gonna just automatically eat way too much on vacation. And a lot of times I tell people not to diet on through the holidays, but actually if you go back up to like a maintenance level or just eat enough, you're traveling, if you're driving 3-4 days during the vacation, you're gonna have a hard time getting up to your calorie needs. So just try to do your best on that, but again, focus on adding rather than subtracting. Prep some good foods and lunch meats and yogurts for your trip.
Right.
I'll post some healthy side dishes.
Oh, please do. Like that breakfast casserole. Were you talking about the cottage cheese one?
Actually, that would be a good one.
The egg cottage cheese?
No, so we
Yeah,
do
I'd love
like
the breakfast I would love that too. The breakfast casserole would be great.
okay.
And any side dishes too that people know are really good.
Okay. I'll put them on Facebook and then I'll also send them out on the email.
Thank you. Or snacks.
Yeah.
I mean, besides the obvious carrots and vegetables and fruit.
A crustless quiche is good too.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah. That's good.
I do that all the time.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll look into a couple things that I enjoy and like doing.
How about crustless pumpkin pie?
You can do that.
Yes. Hey, here's the thing, y'all. It's obvious the things that have a lot of sugar in them, but one of the things that we don't identify as easily is the foods that have a lot of sugar in them also have a ton of fat in them usually. So, and it's again, like, it's not necessarily that fat's bad, but it's that if you're eating bunch of sugar and then there's a bunch of fat, you underestimate that fat, you're actually going to get like a lot more calories just injected straight into your system than you realize. So pumpkin pie has got a lot of fat. It's got sugar, but calorically, pumpkin pie is mostly fat. Cheesecake,
Yeah.
y'all, cheesecake, it's like 900 calories in a slice of cheesecake. I love cheesecake. But it's fat, it's
Yeah.
okay, low fat, high protein, low carb desserts. Yeah, Samantha, I'm gonna do my
going to the
best.
Keys, and they do the key lime pie down there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
sugar. That's a
Yeah.
lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar.
So
But
here's the
it's
thing. But like, you're not gonna get around. It's like, again, don't lose sight before you obsess about taking out the cheesecake or taking out the key lime pie. Add in 2 things for every 1 thing you take out. How about that? Add in 2 good things for every 1 thing you take out. And I think that's pretty much going to be the key to being at peace of mind.
Good idea. Yep.
Love it. All right, y'all. I'll send out a couple of those recipes. I'm going to look for a high protein, delicious dessert that's low fat and low sugar. I'm going to come back with like blended chicken breast with, I don't know. Man, y'all make my job hard. If y'all got any questions or anything, follow us up with email or ask it on Facebook, and I'll be in touch with y'all. Samantha, good to have you. I hope you're recovering from your laryngitis. I will be in touch, y'all. I'm going to post this video probably by tomorrow. Yes, I'll post it by tomorrow. And yeah, let's be in touch. Let's have a great holiday. And I hope you're all at wonderful peace of mind during it.
Thank you. You too.
Absolutely. All right, y'all.